For those of you that love talking about animals, from Sci News, Acrotholus, new dinosaur species from Canada. Paleontologists reporting in the journal Nature Communications have identified a new species of bone headed plant eating dinosaur that lived about 85 million years ago in what is now Alberta, Canada. And now, from prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. Welcome to Creature Guide Live Prehistoric News. Let's dive right back into the prehistoric news of the day. So this is interesting. They recognized a Pachycephalosaur as a herbivore, and this is a much older article. Today, our community recognizes them as carnivores and not herbivores. These ornithischians simply had too blunt of teeth to slice their leaves.
I'm sorry, did you say simply?
Yep. So this seems to be a rather small species of Pachycephalosaur, but a huge Cretaceous turtle. I don't know who that is.
Why is he dripping yellow stuff off of him?
Are you talking about the side of his face, like on the turtle?
Yes.
I think it's just the color of him. You can see this on certain species of turtle today, especially sliders. The newly discovered dinosaur named Acrotholus adecti was 6 feet long and weighed about 40 kilograms, around 90 pounds. Acrotholus means high dome, referring to its dome shaped skull, which is composed of solid bone over 2 inches or 10 centimeters thick. The species name Auditi honors Alberta rancher Roy Audit, on whose land the best specimen was discovered in 2008. Hmm. So I wonder if these were quite common during the late Cretaceous. This is before many more renowned species of Pachycephalosaur would evolve. However, the Pachycephalosaurs first evolved somewhere around 120 million years ago during the early Aptian stage of the Cretaceous period. According to the scientists, Acrotholus represents the oldest bone-headed dinosaur in North America and
This
possibly
is
the
the
world.
oldest idiot in North America.
Um, yeah, unless we didn't find older specimens until much later than I thought, this is very far off. Like by about 35 million years? No, yes. The dinosaur walked on 2 legs and had a greatly thickened domed skull above its eyes, which was used for display to other members of its species and may have also been used in headbutting contests. It is very possible, like many other species of Pachycephalosaur, that Acrothelus did use its dome for headbutting. The question is, how would they have headbutted? Would it have been very similar to today's bighorn sheep, mountain goats, or would it have been? There have been certain theories where they would have hit towards the sides of each other, which I would think to an extent would be a bit more risky, even if there is armor on the side, which we have found preserved scaly armor on larger species of Pachycephalosaurs. So it's a bit of a question. Acrothelus provides a wealth of new information on the evolution of bone-headed dinosaurs. Although it is one of the earliest known members of this group, its thickened skull dome is surprisingly well developed for its geological age. More importantly, the unique fossil record of these animals suggests that we are only beginning to understand the diversity of small bodied plant eating dinosaurs. Okay, um, remember that these are carnivores. Now, the Pachycephalosaur family um, is there aren't many that have been discovered. Only around 15 to 20 different species of Pachycephalosaur have been discovered, unlike when looking at the ceratopsians, so the specific family of dinosaurs in which Triceratops belongs to, there have been over 70. And then when looking at the long necked sauropods, there have been over 200 different species. So animals like Brachiosaurus. Now, taking a look at another species of Pachycephalosaur. This is Draco rex from Montana. This is around 70 to 67 million years ago. Let's put this at 70 million years ago. This has been a huge debate. Recently, in our community, it looks like Draco rex was simply a young Pachycephalosaurus individual. And Pachycephalosaurus was also living during the end of the Cretaceous period and could reach somewhere around 15 feet in length and weigh over 800 pounds or a little over 350 kilograms. Whereas Draco Rex, it was assumed for a long time that this could be its own distinct genus. However, when looking at other species of Pachycephalosaur, such as Stygimoloch, the two outside of specifically the middle part of the skull, the two are almost identical when it comes to morphology. So it looks like these two could possibly be the same thing, or it's a younger Pachycephalosaurus. It's still a bit up for debate. And yes, this would have been a carnivore, but it is a big debate with most of the Pachycephalosaurs to what specifically they would be feeding on. Were they just going after a large variety of insects? Were they focusing on small reptiles and amphibians, or were they literally going after other species of dinosaur? That would be quite interesting. Just I would think headbutting the dinosaur to death and then eating it, or maybe they were just scavenging it, going after maybe smaller species. It's a big question. Acrothelus. Wait a sec. Let's keep going. Small mammals and reptiles can be very diverse and abundant in modern ecosystems, but small dinosaurs, less than 100 kilograms, or what is that? What are 210, 220 pounds, are considerably less common than large ones in the fossil record. Um, Actually, that is true. But there have been much smaller species of dinosaurs than 220 pounds. I wouldn't call that size necessarily uncommon. There were a number. Yes, once you start heading under 30 pounds or 12 kilograms, then they become much less common, especially when you leave the dromaeosaur, the carnivore lineage of dinosaurs. There were certain small species of herbivores. Whether this pattern is a true reflection of dinosaur communities or is related to the greater potential for small bones to be destroyed by carnivores and natural decay has been debated. Yeah, that's gone through my mind too. Whether or not simply due to carnivores or meat-eating dinosaurs disemboweling, or let me rephrase that, wolfing down the other species of dinosaurs, and that's why we don't find as many species.
I like how you switched up there on that.
Um, or yeah, simply due to weather events and they just simply erode the specimen. That's very possible. Most organisms do not fossilize. They need a specific type of process to occur. Um, Otherwise, they just quickly decompose. The massively constructed skull domes of bone-headed dinosaurs, pachycephalosaurs, are resistant to destruction and are much more common than their relatively delicate skeletons, which resemble those of other small plant eating dinosaurs. They're a bit distinct when it comes to um, many species of small plant eating dinosaurs. There have been small species of sauropods, small species of ceratopsians, and they're still quite distinct from the Pachycephalosaurus. Now, I will say the earlier the species of ceratopsian in times, when you head to the early Cretaceous, late Jurassic, they do in an instance look like a Pachycephalosaur species with less of a dome. So, but outside of them, when looking at the ornithopods, not very much. So, relatives of the hadrosaurs or the guandontids. Let's see. Therefore, the researchers suggest that the Pachycephalosaur fossil record can provide valuable insights into the diversity of small plant eating dinosaurs as a whole. Now, taking a look at another dinosaur that existed a bit later in time, because the Acrotholus was from around 85 million years ago, this is around 75 million years ago. This is Maiasaura, which is a member of the Saurolophinae lineage of hadrosaurs or duckbill dinosaurs. More specifically, the Brachylophosaurinae lineage, which you also have Brachylophosaurus, which we have found the preserved skin of. So, Maiasaura lived in Alberta with certain species of mid sized tyrannosaurs, and this animal could reach over 30 feet in length or around 9 meters and weigh up to 4.5 tons. So, it was one of the larger medium sized species of hadrosaurs at the time. Now, Maiasaura, there have been a number of individuals that have been discovered along with their young, and it was one of the first evidence um, or, um, of hadrosaurs taking care of their young. So it is a bit of a debate as to how specifically the hadrosaurs would have taken care of their young. And what I mean by that is specifically when it comes to food. Did the young hatch and then maybe within an hour of being born, they would have ventured off and start eating ferns on their own? The adults would have just simply looked after them. Or would it have been the adults at first would have brought over large amounts of vegetation, and then shortly afterwards, the young would be fit enough to just feed on their own. So that is a really big debate. When would the young be able to start migrating? When it comes to mammals, it has to be immediately. But hadrosaurs, I think that's a really big question because they're so much smaller than the adults. The massively constructed skull domes of bone-headed dinosaurs, Pachycephalosaurs. Oh, I already said that. We can predict that many new small dinosaur species like Acrotholus are waiting to be discovered by researchers willing to sort through the many small bones that they pick up in the field. This fully domed and mature individual suggests that there is an undiscovered hidden diversity of small body dinosaurs. I mean, that would be nice. I mean, there have been other Pachycephalosaurs in recent years that have been discovered, but they're still quite rare. Um, it is a big question as to why. I mean, like, did the carnivores really just eat their other remains? So, when we look back, we need to reimagine the paleo environment. There is an evolutionary history that we just don't know because the fossil record is incomplete. This discovery also highlights the importance of landowners like Roy Audit, who grant access to their land and allow scientifically important finds to be made. Yes, thanks, pal. Okay, so looking at one of the larger species of tyrannosaur from 76 million years ago in Alberta is Albertosaurus, which could reach a little over 30 feet or 9 meters and weigh somewhere around 3 tons. And it does look like because in one area alone, there were over 9 specimens of Albertosaurus found amongst each other. So this seems to be that there was a pack hunting structure occurring and also where the adults were taking care of their young as well. Albertosaurus was also one of the more lightly built species of Tyrannosaur. However, it wasn't necessarily delicate. This animal was still a very muscular Tyrannosaur. Now, I think maybe like this one might be a little um, spent too much time on calf day, but besides that, it's not a bad individual. It should have a bit of a thicker sort of a neck, and I think the skull should be a bit wider as well. This is a 1990s reconstruction, still there. It's over in the Royal Tyrrell Museum over in Alberta, Canada. This individual was probably covered in feathers, just like young Tyrannosaurus rex, young Daspletosaurus. And so this is an early relative of T Rex, but likely not the ancestor. Also, unlike later species of Tyrannosaur, which generally just had a slight ridge on the top of their head, Albertosaurus did score small horn like structures, which were probably used for display and signaling to each other who is who within the pack. Now, this is a bit odd with the scratch mark on this individual, considering there's nothing that really that could have made this type of a slash. Yes, there were dromaeosaurs in the same ecosystem at the time of Albertosaurus, but they didn't have the ability to create that type of a wound. And
So the claws in their hands couldn't have done it?
I don't think so.
Oh, there's 3 of them too.
Even if the Albertosaurus were to get its face right in directly, like directly on the chest of another Albertosaurus, the way that the arms are just situated, it just couldn't do it. Now, the only thing I think could have done this is like a Utah Raptor took a time machine and just wanted to slash one. But besides that, the only realistic sort of a wound that could have occurred here was simply another bite from another species of Tyrannosaur or simply an Albertosaurus itself. Considering there is evidence from other species of Tyrannosaur, more specifically T Rex, especially the famous Sioux specimen, um, she has several bite marks all along her skull. And despite those injuries, they healed. She lived to be about 28 to 33 years old. I'm not sure though about who is the oldest Albertosaurus individual that we have. So let me know what your favorite species of North American dinosaur is. And from prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. This is Creature Guy Live Daily News. Remember to like, comment, subscribe if you love talking about animals, and share this show with everyone you know because nothing is better than all animals all the time.